Hello and welcome to today's webinar. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. Since we started running these sessions a couple of years ago, we've had around about 4,000 attendees, which is fantastic support. So a huge thank you to everyone who's joined so far, but for you to join us today. I'm Chris, one of the regional development managers here at ERS, and I'll be your host. And in today's webinar, we'll be looking to update you on the investments we've made to our passenger carrying vehicle products, taking a look at the passenger market trends, highlighting some of the benefits of trading with ERS. The session is being recorded and is available to pass on to your colleagues who can't attend today, and we'll follow up with information and handouts. If I can ask that you close down any other applications you may have open, as it will help with the bandwidth, and if you can familiarise yourself with the dashboard on the screen, as we'd like you to post any questions which you may have throughout the session in the chat facility, which we'll seek to answer at the end. I'm joined today by James Haywood, our product manager for passenger carrying vehicles, Alex Carroll, our senior commercial underwriter, and we also have Claire McShane, our events manager, and Jess Norman, our marketing manager, on hand behind the scenes. James, if I can hand over to you to talk us through the investments which we've made. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Chris, and thanks everyone for joining this morning. So we're going to take a quick look to begin with what we've been working on this year and the investments that we've made. And the first thing to talk about is the unified product that we launched in April this year. What we've learned primarily over the last couple of years is that efficiency is key. With lots of people working from home and less access to more manual trading routes, we launched a unified product that took all of our schemes and put them into a one-stop shop. We've always hosted an automated scheme for our standard taxi, but this year we launched an exec and chauffeur hire automated scheme. We launched our wedding hire scheme on there, and various other appetite extensions. So non-standard taxi is now part of our automated solution, and a few other sort of trial broker exclusive trials that we hold. From a distribution point of view, and the systems that we operate, we've always utilized CDL, OpenGL, and SSP, but we're now expanding that to broaden our distribution through Applied later this year and Actuous into 2023. We'll be going live with our IHP solution through there. We also distribute our products via our ERS e-trade platform, which there'll be a follow-up webinar later in the week to discuss that in more detail. But that supplements our software house offering with the ability to refer into our underwriting team. In addition to that, for any brokers that utilise platforms that are not available to us currently, we also have the plug-in to ERS approach, which is an API integration that goes seamlessly into your back office platform and looks like a software house quote. If that's of interest to you, please feel free to follow up with your RDM, and we'll explore the opportunity together. Let's now look at the passenger market for 2022. One of the big things leading into this year was the recovery of demand. 2021 and 2020 were massively suppressed in the passenger market because of COVID, because of people being in lockdown and there being no requirement for people to take taxis or minibuses or coaches. Coming into 2022, we started off really quite light, a continued trend as we were in lockdown in the first quarter. But out of that, we have seen a step up in recovery, and we'll go into that in more detail with some more data to back that up. As always in the taxi market, there's a lot of uncertainty, and this year is no different. Where we continue to see our competitors exit the market or leave the market, or competitors being sold or merged. This year's been no exception, and I'm sure next year and the year after will be no exception. So, but it's a good point to highlight that the one thing that is consistent is the ERS strategy of consistency and longevity. We aim to be a trusted partner for years to come, and have no plans to exit taxi. I'm sure you've heard from other insurers or other product webinars that you may have been on. There are some quite unusual market conditions this year. We started Q1 with a big uplift in frequency as that normalised, where people came back onto the roads. But also we've seen some quite major claims inflation go through for various reasons, particularly in AD and TPP severity. Cost of parts and accessibility of parts. Anyone that's looked to buy a new car recently knows that there's quite a significant weight on those, as the parts are just not available. We've seen increases in labour costs and labour rates to the approved repairer network, and we're also seeing increased credit hire. credit hire terms, meaning that the claims costs that we're experiencing have inflated massively over the last year or so, and these show no signs of slowing down, and in many cases a lot of these costs are fixed, which leads the market to be in a position where rate increases are needed, and we're not exempt from that, and we have embarked on quite a lot of analysis to make sure that our claims inflation and our rates are suitable for the economic environment. One of the big things that we've noticed in 2022 is a potential shift in how taxi licensing is going to be organised going forward. At the start of the year, the government introduced their Levelling Up white paper, presenting an opportunity to reset the relationship between central and local government and put councils at the heart of delivering the government's ambitious programme is the strapline that it came. And hidden away in that 300-page report was a discussion point about the best way for the taxi market to structure its licensing authorities. There's currently 326 taxi licensing authorities, each with their own requirements and each with their own rule sets to issue badges and licenses to taxi drivers. The Levelling Up paper discussed the options of either removing that entirely and going to a national operating license system, for example, like transportation haulage and coaches and buses. It also looked at continuing to merge and devolve smaller authorities into making them into larger ones, and it could represent quite a seismic shift in how the taxi market operates. But we'd like to actually get your opinion today on what you think would be best for the market. So I'd like to introduce the first poll. What do you think would be the best approach for the taxi industry? Do you think the current local authority structure is the most suitable, or continue with the devolution emerging to reduce the number of licensing authorities, or perhaps you favour the national licensing system approach? If you've got any other ideas that you feel happy to share, please detail them in the chat functionality, and we can talk about them in more detail. So as a reminder, the options are stay with the same local structure, continue with emerging to reduce the total number, or move to a national operated system. We've got the rates results there. Interesting. I suppose from my personal perspective, I haven't really come to a decision on what I think would be best. Moving to a national licensing system is something that the large operators seem to favour, and I suppose from an organisational perspective would be the most appropriate thing to do. 326 licensing authorities is a significant number. The DFT, the Department for Transport, will have taken over the running of this paper, and they'll be moving to the consultation period for the market in November. So hopefully we'll hear more from that in sort of the coming months. Now let's turn to the market demand. So we've got two views here. On the left, it's the total number of licensed vehicles and drivers produced by the Department for Transport, and on the right is a real-time aggregated demand for the taxi market. Starting with the DFT data, this is a retrospective view between March 2021 and March 2022. And we share this most times that we have these discussions. And what we saw was a 3.4% increase in the total number of licensed vehicles from 2021 to 2022, which indicated that there was a starting of a recovery in taxi demand, as it's the vehicles that we insure, not the drivers. Looking over at the aggregator requests, you can clearly see some substantial uplift in demand from April onwards. And there is a slight caveat about this additional demand. We have also noticed that buyer behaviour has changed somewhat, with drivers shopping around significantly more than they ever have done before. So in that data, what we can also see is that for every one quote a driver does, they're also doing another 4 elsewhere, trying to get the best price. Whereas in 2021, that number was a total of 3 quotes. It goes to show that firstly, the market is moving to a much more retail-driven buyer platforms, especially with the introduction of aggregators, but also following sort of the financial impact of COVID and various other things, that prices become even more prevalent for the taxi driver as they're looking to make sure that every penny counts going forward. But looking forward, again, I'd like to invite you to share your opinions on what you think is going to happen in going into 2023. And based on sort of the Department for Transport measures, what do you expect to happen to the total number of licensed vehicles by March 2023? Do you expect it to be down on March 22, level with March 22, up 5%, or more than 10% against March 22? So the options are down, level, up 5%, or more than 10% increase on March 2022. Brilliant, thank you. It's really interesting. It's got a blend there between down and up by 5%, and this is one of the massive consideration points that we've got as we're looking forward to our forecast of 2023. We're going into sort of one of the biggest cost of living crisis that we've seen for many years, and this could have quite a detrimental impact on demand going into 2023. And it's really interesting that sort of 44% share that or a similar view. There's some optimism in there, but we'll very much wait and see how that manifests itself over time. Moving on. So why ERS passenger? Well, we offer a cover for a wide range of vehicle types and usages, right through from taxi to coaches and bus. With our A+ rating, we represent stability in the market. We have dedicated operations and underwriting teams, experts in all the passenger products. And in addition to Software House and peers, we obviously offer a unique and bespoke online trading platform via ERS eTrade. To talk about some of these products in more detail, I'd like to pass over to Alexandra, who will take you through now some of the risk appetites. Thank you.
Thanks, James. So today I'm going to take you through some of our appetite for our passenger carrying products. So under this banner, we do have two products. We have our minibus and our taxi products. And if we just start with minibus first. So our minibus product covers up to 5 vehicles on a single policy with 16 passenger seats. And within that, we have 4 sub-products. So we have carriage and non-fare paying passengers. So this use covers charities and non-profit organisations such as schools, care homes, places of religion, amateur sports clubs and childminders, just to name a few. We then have private hire, which covers both your generic private hire and contract hire. Private hire will cover operators that require public service vehicle operators licence, and contract hire covers operators who take pre-booked and pre-arranged appointments such as tour companies, airport or school contracts, and even indirect hire reward usage, with an example being outdoor pursuit companies where transport is included as part of the overall package. We then have SDP, which is your standard social, domestic and pleasure usage, which does include volunteering, and commuting can be added to that as well. Lastly, we have our business use cover. So this covers, again, 2 usages: employee transportation and your standard business use. Employee transportation does what it says on the tin and is usually requested from companies such as recruitment agencies, cleaning services and allied trades. And business use covers any non-employee transportation in connection with the organisations such as transportation service for restaurant and pub guests. In regards to our core appetite for our drivers, we cover drivers between the age of 25 and 75 years of age with a minimum of 2 years relevant UK or EU licence experience, and where applicable a minimum of 2 years public service vehicle licence experience as well. Lastly, a benefit of this product is that as part of our comprehensive cover, we do include breakdown standard, which now includes an enhanced misfueling cover. So that's just a summary of minibus. If we move on to taxi as well. So the taxi product covers vehicles up to 8 passenger seats for private hire, public hire and contract hire across a majority of licensing authorities across the UK, with the bonus that we can add for up to 5 vehicles in any one policy. Usages cover both standard taxi and executive hire under the same scheme, with new badge holders considered. And in addition, this product is currently extended to cover carriage of goods for hire reward, as well as your standard carriage of passengers. In regards to drivers, again, our core appetite covers drivers between the age of 23 and 75 years of age with a minimum of 2 years relevant UK or EU licence experience. And as previously mentioned, new badge holders are considered. We can offer any driving restrictions on multi-vehicle policies, but any single vehicle policies will require named drivers. And lastly, we do cover public liability under our taxi policies up to maximum limits of 1 million, 5 million and 10 million where applicable. Again, that sums up our taxi appetite and gives you just a view of what we cover under our two products under the PCV. If we just move on now. So this slide is showing you our this year's minibus charity draw winners, with the winner of Q3 to be announced shortly. And just a reminder that we have one more draw to go in December this year to complete the year. So continue placing your new business with us to have a chance of your charity being entered into the draw. I'll just pass back to Chris now.
Thanks, Alex. And if I can just ask people to to post any questions into the chat as we go through. We have had one, and I'll ask it now because it's relevant to the last section actually, Alex, and it's just in respect to the breakdown cover. And it's a question from Christina which says, is the breakdown cover extended to include Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland in relation to the minibus product? Christina, we may need to part that one till the end and come back to that one. Oh, Alex is here. Yeah.
So it will mimic the level of cover on your policy. So if you have EU usage, it does include that as well. So it will mimic the level of cover that you have on your policy in terms of regional.
Thanks, Alex. So in respect of the breakdown product, as you heard from Alex just then, we include the breakdown cover as standard on the minibus product. We wanted to take this an opportunity to remind you about the breakdown offering that we have, and as you see from the screen, we can cater for a wide range of vehicles, from classic cars through to supercars, from vans through to horse boxes, through motorcycles through to motorhomes, but also electric vehicles as well. We've partnered with a firm called Call Assist, who manage the product on our behalf, and Call Assist have access to over 400 vehicle recovery operators throughout the UK, who provide the most appropriate vehicle recovery agent for the customer's needs. There's a wide range of cover available, whether it's roadside assistance that somebody requires, through to recovery, through to UK-wide recovery, or through to European cover. We can actually tailor that to suit the individual's needs. And the majority of our broker partners will access the product via the E-Trade portal that James mentioned earlier. We've got a growing number of products available on the E-Trade portal, of which the breakdown cover is one of them, which will provide a quote and buy functionality. But for the larger opportunities, for brokers who prefer to work on a bordereau basis, we are able to cater for a bordereau should the need arise. The product can be sold in isolation. It doesn't need to be attached to an existing ERS policy, so it also provides a good cross-selling opportunity for you. And if it's something you wish to discuss in any greater detail, then please reach out to your usual regional development manager, your strategic account manager, or reach out to myself, chris.johnson@ers.com, and I'll be able to put you in touch with the right people, or we can pick up the discussion. In respect of E-Trade, and James mentioned earlier, we have a session later on this week. We've got a growing number of products available on E-Trade on the commercial side, and there's a refresher later on this week on Thursday. If it's something that you feel that yourself or your colleagues would benefit from understanding how to get a little bit more out of the E-Trade system, then please register your interest at ers.com/stay connected, and we'll sign you up for that event. And also in respect to events coming up, just a heads up in respect of November, and we've got a series of events which will be focused on the subject of electric vehicles. We'll be partnering with Thatcher Research, who will be sharing what the EV space means to them, and the trends that they're seeing in the market space. We've also got a session with our product managers, who will be sharing what the EV space means to their products, and also in respect of the EV, how that impacts upon the claims and breakdown processes. So we'll be looking to share that with you as well. So again, if it's something that you feel would be interested, then please register your interest at events@ers.com. So we've had a few questions come through. Whilst people are just wanting to reflect on the session today, and if you have any questions, please post them in the chat. Whilst we're waiting for that to come through, just a quick reminder on how you may be able to stay in touch with us. And a lot of people will follow us on our website, ERS.com. It contains lots of information in respect of products, in respect of appetite, documentation, various different contact points within the business, but also includes the news articles and the blogs, and any other topical information about what's going on in the marketplace will be posted on there. You can also follow us on LinkedIn, where we regularly post articles and information, or sign up for our newsletter at ers.com/newsletter, where our monthly newsletter will again update you on what's topical within the business, and also provide various links and and contacts to the various articles that we've posted. So a number of questions have come through. There's one from Mark, which is, are there any plans to add dual occupations to the E-Trade portal? So Mark, I'm assuming this may be in respect of taxi, rightly or wrongly, but James, is that one that you could pick up, please?
Yeah, of course. So presently we cater for dual occupations on taxi and spouse for STP. That's something we added to the product last year, albeit that's primarily available via Software House. We're going through the rounds again of making sure that we have going through the rounds again of getting requirements to enhance E-Trade. So we'll add that to it. What we can do from a dual occupation point of view is, if you refer that risk in, notifying us of the dual occupation, we can add it to the policy. Not the most efficient way of doing it, but it's something that we can cater for, and the underwriters will be able to accommodate for you.
Thanks, James. Another question from Loic, which is there any limitation within either the taxi or the minibus? Is there any limitation with either the taxi or the minibus? I'm not sure in respect of in limitation to what? Is that limitation in respect of drivers or passengers? Perhaps you could just clarify the question, please, for us. I'll move on to another question. Are we ready for when the local authorities switch over to EVs?
Yes, yeah. From an insurance point of view, yes, we are. So we cater for EV vehicles now as part of our standard appetite. I think it's whether or not we've got the suitable infrastructure for it all to go over. But from an insurance point of view, I think we're ready to go.
Great, thanks. So the previous question, is there any limitation with either the taxi or minibus, is in relation to both the driver and the passenger. So is there any limitation in respect of drivers and passengers on the taxi or the minibus products?
So the actual minibus and taxi products are the specifications of them are defined by the number of drivers. So a typical taxi badge would be driver plus up to 8 passengers. And thereon in you need an operator's license to utilise a minibus. So that's where we draw the line with our appetite. So it either fits into one or the other. I mean, in terms of minibus, that then goes up to 17, and from 17 onwards, so 16 passengers, and from 17 passenger onwards, that would go into our coach and bus offering.
Thanks, James. Another question's come through from Jim, which is, have you seen an increase in demand for electric vehicles?
Yes, we have. Interestingly, the Department for Transport data, whilst we gave a very high level view of the increase in number of licensed vehicles, from an electric point of view, it was really interesting what happened to that over sort of the year. So before in 2020, I think EVs represented 3% of the public and private hire market, whereas now they represent 10%. So they're very much a growing segment, albeit in sort of the single to multi vehicle lines. We're not seeing, and with limited London PCO offering, we aren't seeing a huge amount of demand, but that demand is growing, and once they become more more affordable and more sustainable for sort of the individual taxi driver, we're going to see that demand ramp up quite quickly.
Right, thanks, James. And a question's come through from Paul, which is in respect of Uber, and it says, what impact did you see from Uber Instadoc panel? What impact did you see from the Uber Instadoc panel decision last year?
Well, seeing as it was only London, we saw minimal. I mean, we do have a really small, so we have some small London offerings, primarily in the executive and chauffeur market. And we did see some impacts where we weren't able to validate cover for those. But as Uber haven't made the decision yet to go nationwide, we saw limited. I mean, we are in discussions with Uber, as are a few of our competitors, so that position may change over time, but very, very little impact at the moment for us.
Great, thanks, James. And a question come through from Clive, which is, where can I obtain additional information in respect of the levelling up progress?
So, I mean, as the Department for Transport are leading the consultation for that, they would be the primary source of information on it. Although the DFT websites can be quite problematic to get any information from. So from there's a couple of organisations that are sort of quite key in pushing this. So you've got the Institute of Licensing, you've got the Ground Transport Group, and then also you've got a chap called Steve Wright at the LPCHA, which is the sorry, apologies, I've got the name here. Yeah, so the LPCHA, and they're very much championing the consultation process. So they're regularly updating their LinkedIn with updates on this process, because they want to make sure that the change benefits their members and the drivers that they represent.
Maybe it's something we can share with Clive. So if I get Clive's details, we can share that in respect of the different areas you can go to look at that. And a question from Karen, which is, for taxi policies in Northern Ireland, does this not automatically cover the Republic of Ireland use?
Yes, it does. Yeah, so all Northern Ireland policies will have an extension of use into the Republic of Ireland.
Great, thanks, James. It looks like that's all the questions that have come through so far. So we'll just give folk a minute or so just to post any last minute questions that you have. And if you do have any further questions, after the session and after reflecting on what we've talked through today, or after seeing the handouts, then please reach out to us, and we can answer those separately. It looks like there's no other questions coming through. So, there is one. It's not a question; it's just a thank you. So, we have another question. We have another question, Mark. So, do Northern Ireland minibus policies also extend use to the ROI Republic of Ireland, or do we enter EU usage? So in respect of minibus, do we extend to include Republic of Ireland?
Should be an extension to the Republic of Ireland as well for minibus.
Great, thanks, James. It's tempting fate, isn't it? I'm saying that could be it from questions. So yeah, if you do have any further questions that you want to raise after reflecting on today, then please reach out to your usual contacts within the business, or as I say, you can contact myself at chris.johnson@ers.com, and we'll be able to field that for you. Thanks again for joining the session. We hope you found it useful and informative. Copies will be available for those colleagues who weren't able to attend, and we'll be posting that on our website very shortly over the next few days. We look forward to working with you, but thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.